Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Connect, Organize, and Optimize with BIM 360. And let me introduce myself as a presenter. My name is Eva Lai. I'm the Industry Account Manager for the AEC with SolidCAD. And along with me, we have another presenter today is Peter Shoup. He is the Senior Technical Consultant for AEC as well. And for those of you who are not familiar with SolidCAD, let me take a moment to walk you through about what we do. So we do consulting, training, scan to BIM services, events. We host Revit Pub Nights once every quarter, and the next one's coming up is in March, so stay tuned for details. And of course, we do technical support. And you might recognize some of the logos of our partners, namely Autodesk, as SolidCAD is the #1 reseller for Autodesk in Canada, and other industry-related partners such as Bluebeam, CTC, Faro, Matterport Scanners, Lumion, V-Ray, these are visualizations, and so forth. And we do have training centers across Canada. And without further ado, I'd like to pass it over to Peter, but before that, there's just some housekeeping. All participants are muted. You can answer your questions in the chat box. We will address them in the end. And if we run out of time, we will address them individually. And I'm going to hand it over to Peter.
Okay, thanks a lot, Eva. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peter Shoup. I'm just going to start up my presentation here, so give me a few seconds. So here we go. Today we're going to be talking about Connect, Organize, and Optimize with BIM 360. Thanks for attending this webinar. As Eva mentioned, my name is Peter Shoup, and I have almost 30 years experience in the AEC industry, mainly relating to the production of construction documentation for architects and engineers. I've been a technical consultant at SolidCAD for just over 5 years, specializing in the training of Revit architecture, Revit structure, scan to BIM technologies, and also Bluebeam, and obviously BIM 360. This webinar will consist mainly of a PowerPoint presentation, followed by a short live demo of the software. Please feel free to ask questions as we go along, but there will be some time at the end of the presentation for a question and answer period as well. We will be discussing BIM 360 document management and BIM 360 cloud services. BIM 360 has been around for a number of years and recently has been updated substantially. The newest version has been rebranded BIM 360 Next Gen or Next Generation. The older version is still being utilized and may be referred to as BIM 360 Classic or by some of the older names for the individual modules. So the BIM 360 Classic versions were all separate individual services at the time. BIM 360 Design was called Collaboration for Revit, or C4R, and had BIM 360 Team as its repository for data. BIM 360 Glue is the cloud clash detection service, which was also called BIM 360 Glue in the classic version. BIM 360 Build was called BIM 360 Field and is in the construction management module. They've also added BIM 360 Ops to the next generation offerings, which is a facilities management or operations module. Each of the modules within the BIM 360 document management, each of the modules are integrated within BIM 360 document management and brings all of this project data into a single data platform. This removes issues around data loss as information moves from one application to another and avoids common problems of project teams questioning if they have the most current information. With all the information digitized, collected, and stored in a central location, and data sharing occurring through guided handoff of information across project phases, the value of how data can be used becomes evident. BIM 360 will leverage the entire project data set with all the connected information to provide project and company-wide insight into data and trends that lead to better predictability. The base of all of this is Autodesk Forge. What this means is that all of the data stored in document management can be extracted out and used with third-party software. The Forge platform is the foundation for the building of an AEC software ecosystem where the focus is on access to data, not just the applications being used. So what kind of challenges do we have with collaboration? Collaboration is an ongoing challenge. Within the life cycle of a building project, there are many forms of data used by all the stakeholders individually. This data is siloed in different places at different times, and in each phase of the project, the different disciplines are basically starting from scratch or possibly using incorrect or old data. The biggest issues behind the collaboration challenge is that none of these tools fully solve problems for designers because none of them were built for design-based collaboration. Common tools such as FTP and SharePoint solutions can be expensive and complex to implement. Design files still have to be downloaded and saved to a local drive to become usable. Network drives serve the need for sharing internally, but as soon as files need to be accessed remotely or by an external team member, these tools fall short. We're seeing some designers start to adopt more modern tools, such as cloud storage, but the problem is that basic cloud storage tools are not built to manage design data. CAD files or BIM models are not viewable or usable natively in cloud storage applications, and users have to resort to the download and open method to get any value out of the files themselves. Lastly, we see some architects or engineers trying point cloud solutions. But while these solutions are more tailored to the way AEC projects function, they only solve one need at a time, are hard to integrate with other solutions, and do not support project lifecycle collaboration. So what do we need? We need an area where we can share all of our information in one place, a shared platform for all design collaboration from initial design through the construction process and into facilities management and operations. We need to understand the design intent and have the ability to see issues, whether you're an architect, engineer, owner, or CAD designer, in real time and be confident that the data is up to date and accurate. We also need to hand over documentation to operations and maintenance so that we are not starting from scratch every time we go to a different stage of the project lifecycle. So regarding IT management, within BIM 360 document management, we can open over 50 different types of files. So it's not just the Autodesk suite of products. Autodesk is also looking into being able to open Microsoft products within document management. It removes some responsibility from IT management through integrated administration. Users manage their own data within document management. Within Forge, developers can capture data from within the project and use it in other applications. BIM 360 document management information is stored on the Amazon web servers, which is extremely secure. There is also no there is an unlimited amount of storage. There is no cap or pay-as-you-play formula involved. This is one of the very nice features of BIM 360 document management. I regularly create projects for our Scan to BIM service, and I know I will have no issues with extremely large point cloud files, for instance. Unlike Dropbox or other services, it seems to work very well with this type of data. So related to this webinar, we are focusing on BIM 360 document management, commonly referred to as BIM 360 Docs and BIM 360 Design. BIM 360 Docs is for all individuals that would need access to information related to the project. Even though these users do not have access to BIM 360 Design, they can still review 3D models and see all of the data that has been published from a design user. They can also participate in the collaboration of that data. We eliminate the necessity to print out hard copies or PDFs from the Revit or CAD software via docs automatically extracts views from a Revit model or multi-page documents, complete with hyperlinks to any of the sections, elevations, or call-out views by clicking on the markers in the sheets. BIM 360 design is made for Revit users to collaborate into the document management space, essentially replacing the siloed local server with a central model in the cloud where any user that has been granted permission can access in real time. When a license of BIM 360 design is purchased, you also get a license of document management. Remember that the data is actually stored inside of BIM 360 document management, but BIM 360 design and other services access this information from that location. Collaboration for AutoCAD files is not currently supported, but it is something that may be on the table for future development. With BIM 360 docs, we have the ability to publish, create document control, we can access views, and create markups. Publishing documents. Get information published faster and organized logically with bulk upload, set creation, and automatic separation of sheets from design files. Organize construction drawings and documents into sets and quickly review changes between versions in 2D or 3D. We can extract document sets from design files and use optical character recognition of title block data for automated name and filtering possibilities. Separate multi-page PDF files and extract all of the views and sheets automatically from a Revit project file. No need to print or create endless PDF markup sets. So under the document control, we can assign permissions to folders and define a whole folder system within document management. You can even duplicate your current folder structure and control access to who is allowed to view, edit, and control these documents. We can also control the way the documents are handled depending on where they are placed. Define specific folders that will automatically extract multi-page PDFs, as well as break out views, sheets, and 3D views from a Revit project file. Folder structures can be implemented to create the best possible workflow between consultants. For example, you may want to create a team folder for each consultant involved in the project, where they can store their most current Revit project files. These project files can then be linked into other models and updated in real time. They can be shared and consumed by other teams only when permission is given to do so, creating a very controlled workflow. There are 5 permission levels in BIM 360 document management. Access can be limited and assigned by user, by role, or by company. This can be assigned at the project level or at the individual folder level. This gives tremendous control over who can access and modify the data stored in document management. We can also use a template project to manage the folder structure of a complete project, thus eliminating the tedious task of recreating a complicated folder structure for each new project. Version control is one of the most important aspects in an organized project. If not managed correctly, it can easily turn your project into. BIM 360 takes the hassle out of this very important task. Version control gives you the ability to comment and mark up files, which eliminate countless iterations, so you're making more impactful to a model version. Visually compare how the model progresses with every version to see how your concept sketch turns into a full 3D BIM model over time. Clearly see major additions and deletions, which serve as reminders to ensure these changes are applied consistently throughout the model. Can also manage access and user model information in the right context. View documents associated with the sets view version history and be alerted when a version being viewed is not the most recent file. You can also versions current or copy any version to another folder. Uh, 2D and 3D models on your desktop or mobile app. Test the files anytime, anywhere. You do not need an internet access to use docs. For instance, you can download the and go out to the site and create markups and issues. Upon return, automatically upload the changes that were made offline. You can also access individual properties of the objects, just as you by selecting the object in Revit and reviewing the properties in the properties palette. Unlike many document management and collaboration applications, BIM 360 Doc is built specifically for construction projects and to support the entire project team throughout the project. The project and project data is at the center, keeping everyone involved always connected, current, and in control. It supports 2D and 3D or combined workflows, specific functionality and controls for content publishers, editors, and consumers, and is a single repository throughout the construction process. Markups. Markups are available through any 3D or 2D views or sheets and are shared instantly to anyone who has subscribed to the folder. There are built-in cloud and text box tools for quick and easy markups. You can create private and publish markups. Private markups can be created by members with few permissions or higher and can only be seen by their creator. Once published, they are seen by all users with the permissions to do so. These can also be seen on both desktop and mobile devices, utilizing iOS and Android apps. When questions or problems arise during design, they need to be communicated and can be particularly helpful for resolving issues normal RFI. Issues can be created by dropping a pin in a location on a drawing or from the main user interface. View and export issue logs, web or mobile device. You can assign issues to team members along with due dates associated. Project home on individual sheets or models or from the issue list. BIM 360 Design replaces the older version, which was called C4R or Collaboration for Revit. The technology is the same, but the data is stored in BIM 360 Docs or document management, instead of having a separate location, which was BIM 360 Team. This includes Revit Cloud work sharing. As was noted earlier, the central file is now located in the cloud instead of your local server. Design collaboration is the ability to not only work with your internal team, but also outside consultants and vice versa. You can have consultants' models linked into your model in real time so that when changes happen, they can automatically update the next time you open the file or update the link. We can also make decisions on when we want to publish a new version of our model or when we want to consume a model from a consultant. This eliminates the necessity to upload and download models from an FTP site, confirming that the link has the correct naming convention. Document management is included with the BIM 360 design and where the collaborated data resides in the cloud. We can publish sheets, view both 2D and 3D, and make available via permissions to anyone that has a Docs license. It is not limited to users that have a BIM 360 design license only. The desktop connector provides a view from your file explorer to folders on BIM 360 Docs. Again, taking into consideration the permissions and Revit version is what will control access to those files. So who has worked in BIM 360 C4R or the older version? The version of Revit that you are using will define which versions of BIM 360 collaboration you can use. If you have versions 2015 to 2018.2, you are limited to the older version or the classic version of C4R or collaboration for Revit in association with BIM 360 team as the document management repository. Excuse me. If you are running 2018.3, then you can pick between both versions. If you have 2019 up until the current version, you will only be able to use the new version or BIM 360 design. Also, as noted previously, the full version that you are running will only show you in the cloud collaborated files of that same version. For instance, if you are using version 2019 and you have a project that has 2020 or 2018 project files, you will not be able to see those models. In addition to the design collaboration module, allows the enhancement of cloud work sharing. This module will give teams the ability to create work in progress models before saving to the team space, enabling greater control over their design space before contributing to the shared team project. This not only relates to Revit models, but any collection or package of documents, including all the document types shown. This is replacing the old form of sharing your documents. We do not have to zip up our most up-to-date files and models and upload them to the consultant's FTP sites. This saves a lot of time, and you are assured of using the most up-to-date data. As we can see here, the design teams can revise and redesign as work is in progress, and then when they are ready to share, they publish, and the data is then shared. Similarly, when they decide when they want to review and consume data that has been published into the shared project data location. Project teams also have a visual timeline of a project. This is a visual way of exchanging data or packages. The collaborating teams have shared and consumed through the life cycles of the project. A package is a container that allows you to bundle your team's Revit models and sets to share with other teams. This allows the team to easily understand data exchanges and their contents. No more navigating folders to find the latest information. This is probably the most improved workflow over the C4R version, by allowing each team to decide when they publish their updated design and also when they consume a new design from another team. They have full control over the design package. It also mimics a common workflow in which you would only send the consultant the Revit model when they were ready to be shared, instead of every real-time design iteration that may never make it to the next phase of the design. Teams are constantly changing the design as the project progresses. We can visually represent how things have changed over time, freeing team members to take action instead of taking down revisions in sheet sets. With updated BIM data available to the rest of the team, the first task is to understand what has changed from the last exchange. A change visualization has been added into the process of reviewing new data. Change visualization can be turned on for any view of the data, aggregated, curated 3D views, or individual sheets. This allows aggregated views of the project data and automatically maintained and organized by how teams think, and significantly optimizes the viewing experience. You can define sheets, views, and combine the 2D and 3D content that can be seamlessly navigated. You can control the model and isolate based on level, control visibility of different disciplines and teams. Access to information is an important aspect, maybe even the most important aspect of managing your project. But ensuring that people who need the information can consume it easily in the format they are most comfortable is needed too. When working with traditional formats like 2D paper or static digital files, teams can be challenged with teams that are in different locations, no easy way to collaborate and communicate, getting access on site is difficult and inconsistent. Paper is primary method of communication and documentation. BIM 360 makes project information available on any device so that the team members can stay informed and up to date regardless of where they are working. Apps for iOS and Android, viewing, markups, issues, measurement tools available on mobile devices, and document and folder access offline with sync to the cloud when connected. So in summation, Autodesk BIM 360 document management and BIM 360 design gives you faster and more efficient Revit collaboration. With anytime access to Revit models from anywhere in the world, your design team won't waste time. Virtual collaboration means distributed design teams or remote staff can model from wherever they happen to be, and that translates to lower travel and office expenses and happier designers. Access to more projects, your firm's physical address doesn't matter anymore. Extend your reach and participate in projects or joint venture partnerships wherever they may be located. Better allocation of team talents and resources. You can assign the best team members with the strongest skill set and talent you need. Enable designers to work on multiple projects based in different locations at the same time. You can also include everyone. BIM 360 document management gives project team members, partners, or consultants who don't have Revit or a real-time view of models. Sorry, they don't have Revit, but it gives them a real-time view of models for faster communication and better buy-in. So that's pretty much it for the PowerPoint presentation. So what I'll do is I just wanted to, because it's a lot of information kind of given all at once, I want to then kind of flip out and we'll take a look at how the actual website and software works with document management and design. So generally, BIM 360 document management, I have a shortcut on my desktop, which allows me to access, sorry, wrong double click. I have a shortcut on my desktop that allows me to access my my account, and then through my account, I can access my project. So we can see here, this is the basic user interface that we're going to see when we open BIM 360 document management. If we look at the module selector, this is where our modules will sit. So we can see here is our design collaboration. I'm going to stick within document management for now, and I just want to show you some basic navigation tools here. So if we look at, for instance, some of the PDF files that have been loaded. If I go into one of the folders, I can click on one of the PDFs, and it brings up this folder or this sheet. Now, one of the really nice things about BIM 360 docs, when we extract either from multi-page PDFs or Revit projects, we can see the individual views, the individual sheets, and we can also see all the hyperlinks. So you notice that each one of the section markers or elevation markers have a highlighted marker. If I wanted to go to that view, I can just click on any one of these hyperlinks to go to those projects or to go to those views in this set. So there's a lot of things I can do inside of this. Again, I just want to kind of get you familiar with what the space looks like. One of the more common things, I can take some measurements. Again, I don't have to have Revit. I don't have to have Revit to be able to go into a sheet. I don't have to get someone to print out one sheet for me to look at or to measure on it. I can just click into my document management. I need to collaborate. Oh, looks like I collaborate. And then calibrate. Let's go back here. So I'm just going to take a measurement, collaborate to a known, collaborate. I keep saying collaborate. Calibrate, too much calibration, or collaboration lightly, I guess. Once I set the calibration, slow down, then I can take measurements. And it places the measurements in the view. It's really just for me to visually put these dimensions in and then say, oh, yeah, that's the right size, or something's going on here. The next thing I want to look at is I can compare these documents. So any of the other versions of this document, I can select compare, and I can compare any of the versions to any other version. So I'm going to compare version 1 to version 2. There's 2 ways of comparing the documents. You can see that for the overlay, it colors one version, one color. Version 1 is red, version 3 is blue, and we can see the differences there. I can also do a side-by-side comparison, which pulls a little slider bar back and forth, and you can see the differences between the 2 versions. So I can see the individual markups here. I can also just create a markup. I'll just quickly create a markup. Add text box. Add information to this markup. Once I save this markup, it goes into my list of markups, but it only saves it as private. So you can see here it says private. What that allows me to do is mark up certain areas and then decide whether that's a markup I want to share with everybody or not. If I do want to share it with everybody, then I can just publish it, and then it becomes the part of the markup list. I'm going to get out of my markups. Notice the yellow dots here. These yellow dots are issues. So in order to create an issue, I can just create an issue by clicking on issues. Place a dot, make an issue, assign it to someone, add a due date, and then they automatically get notified that there's an issue that they're responsible to. I'm not going to save this. I'm going to go back out here and I'm going to show you one other thing quickly. I'm going to go down into the project files and find a Revit model. Here's a Revit model. So this is a Revit model that has been uploaded or put in the cloud by BIM 360 Design. I can click on that and show and see all the views associated. Again, I don't have to have Revit. I don't have to be able to use Revit to take a look at this information. I can see all of the views here that were saved or uploaded to BIM 360 document management. I can also use a lot of the same tools from the markup and measuring. And there's actually a really cool tool here I'll show you. It's called section analysis. I can cut a section through this building. And if I can see something inside that building that requires a markup, I can just mark it up. And again, it's exactly the same as the markup. If I save that markup, it'll then save that view up to my markups. And we can also always go back to that, that markup. And that's basically all I really wanted to show inside the BIM 360 document management. Really just a quick view of what that is there. I'm just going to close this now. And what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about the BIM 360 design. So I'll open Revit to the home page, and if you notice right away, when I look at my previous projects or last open projects, there's an icon right down here. I don't know whether everybody can see that. There's a cloud icon right here. So I can tell that this model came from the cloud. So it's collaborated in the cloud. So if I wanted to open this, I could just double click on this and it would open that file. But I'm going to show you the desktop, whatever it's called, the desktop, it escapes me right now, communicator, connector, desktop connector. So the desktop connector actually becomes a logical path in your Explorer. So I can just click on the desktop connector and it shows me all the logical paths to my cloud hosted projects and files. Notice I have two options here because if you notice, I opened 2018.3. This is kind of the straddle Revit version. So what happens is that I can use either the old version, the classic version, the BIM 360 team, or I can use the BIM 360 document management, which is the newer version or next gen. So I'm going to just go in and find that same 3D model inside of that project that I was looking at in the document management. And there's the file. And I'm just going to open that file. Now, while this opens, so this is pulling it from the cloud in real time. It's a fair size file. It's not small. I find working in the cloud, it really doesn't seem that much different from working in your normal local server. So here we have the Revit model inside of Revit using BIM 360 design to collaborate in the cloud. And then notice if we look at our project browser, we can see that there was the views here that we had loaded into the document, management. So we can see all the same views. And that's really all I really wanted to show you. We could take a look at the synchronization. What this is really just going to show you is that it's pulling the information from the BIM 360 or that path that has been set up on the desktop connector. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the webinar. So what I'll do is I'll open it up for questions. Let's see, I'll close this down.
So Peter, I do see there is a question here. It says A360 and BIM 360. It's probably asking what is the difference?
Yeah. So that's part of that. Over the years, it's part of the, I guess the update or the
Naming convention?
How the naming conventions, they've changed. So A360, there is actually an A360 drive. I think they're actually discontinuing that now in the newer versions. I think you still have access to it. That is a separate thing. Back in the day when BIM 360 wasn't called BIM 360, it did have A360 kind of assigned to it. So I think what was happening was Autodesk came up with this idea probably like 10 years ago or maybe even longer. We want to start looking at these cloud services. Okay, let's break out and we'll make a cloud area for people to store their stuff. And that's what A360 became. And then they kind of kept A360 for a while, even when they started to look at, oh, well, let's see if we can do some collaboration with Revit. And it still was A360, and then they started calling it C4R, and then they started coming out with the BIM. So over the years, they've started to phase out that A360, although it's still kind of kicking around here and there. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, we do
Does anybody
have.
else have any more questions?
Hold on, let me just open up the questions here. One moment.
Yeah, try to do something.
So BIM 360 is a separate purchase from the AEC collection. I can answer that.
Yes.
So yes, it is. So the AEC collection gives you the software that you install on your desktop, which is the AutoCAD, the Revit, the Navisworks, and other related softwares. BIM 360 is a license model that is per user base, and it's based on an annual subscription. Hopefully that answers your question. Let me see. Okay. We have another one. What are the key differences between, oh, we do have that, we answered that one already. What other ones? The method of issuing packages that was described, is that a consumed published?
Yeah, so I can speak to that a little bit. So
Yes.
basically what happens is, and this is something new to the next gen, or the new version of the BIM 360 design and document management. Originally, the BIM 360 team, say, or even document management, it relates more to the collaboration for Revit and BIM 360 design. So what happens was that when you saved your model to the cloud, every time you saved it, it was updated, and you didn't really have any control over how other people saw that model, right? So if I worked for an architect for 20 years or so, and it really does kind of relate to the old school way of, well, you know what, we're going to design, we're going to work in Revit, we're going to design to a certain point, and then at that point, we're going to take that package and send it to the consultant, and they're going to decide whether they're going to use it in their model. Now, the old version was not able to do that. So if you had a structural engineer and an architect having their models linked into each other in BIM 360 team, whenever that structural engineer or architect added something or changed their design and synchronized, then that update would automatically be pushed into your model. And that was something that was not ideal. So what they came up with was the ability to decide when you want to publish, and then the opposite of that is when you want to consume, or the alternative to that. So if I'm working on my project and I'm just kind of working away in my own Revit model, and we break it down into teams. So the architectural team has a folder, the structural team has a folder, and then they work away on those folders. When they publish what they want to put up to their cloud, then that model gets copied and placed into the shared space. So then what happens is that means they've created a package and placed it in the shared space, and then the structural engineer can decide whether that is something that they want to consume. Okay, so it's really great from the standpoint of, look, I just keep working away, and even think of it as issuances, right? So if I issue, in a normal contract, I might say I'm going to issue 50% construction documents, 60% construction documents, 90% construction documents. Now, I'm working away a lot in between 50 and say 60%, and I don't need to update these small little things. So I'm just going to go to 60%, and I'm going to say decide when I want to send that package, and that's what sending the package is. And then the consuming is actually someone else saying, yes, I'm ready to consume that into their model now. So hopefully that explains your, or answers the question. I don't think I see the questions.
So Peter, just to let everyone know that the recording will be sent out to all of the attendees. So within the recording, you will get the copy of the PowerPoints. Other questions are, any updates on the BIM 360 and Plan 3D will be integrated?
I've heard of rumblings of that happening. I haven't heard, and this is something that maybe the manufacturing team or the team responsible for the plant side could address. I have heard Civil 3D that they're working on, and I'm not sure whether it can happen yet, but it's definitely something that they're working on. And maybe what we'll do is we'll get somebody that knows more specifics about that to get back to that person for that question.
Okay. And there is a question about rough costing, which I can reach out to you individually to discuss more in depth of your requirements. Any other questions?
So I'll just leave this screen up here. It's Ava and myself's contact information. If you want to jot that down, or I guess it'll be added to the recording now. If you have any questions at all, give us a call, send us an email, check out our website, and contact us, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks a lot for attending, and happy Reviting and BIMing.